Hello, everyone. Hi.
We just got out of Masters of the Universe.
Second week's showing.
Yes, one of the last, 3 or 4 days.
I think that sounds about right. The film, I believe, I think it was amazing. I loved it.
As someone who has never been really introduced to Masters of the Universe, I also thought it was really, really good. I enjoyed all of the lore that they presented for that film. Again, having no prior knowledge of any of the Masters of the Universe stuff, except for 2 episodes of the cartoon.
And counting, by this point, I wanting to get her to watch more of the actual show with me. The Masters of the Universe, the movie, even though it had garnered mixed reception, if I recollect, it is on Rotten Tomatoes of 68%. That states that it's not too bad. It's not the average rating. Average would usually be around the 70 to 75% ratio. So we have a little bit of a below average type of score, but it's somewhere where it isn't too apprehensively bad. And in my opinion, I think it was fantastic. The reason most of the mixed reception, I think, is because it just doesn't really suit certain individuals. This film is supposed to be a love letter to those that get, like myself, Masters of the Universe. The film, as I stated, is basically that particular love letter. Masters of the Universe was basically a toy line from Mattel that came out within the year. 1 year was if you want to be technical, it came out in 81, late 81, but that was the prototypes. The real release and wave came out in 82. That was the first official wave of the toys, and from there birthed a new conceptual idea in the beginning. So Masters of the Universe originally started off as toys. Then following a year or two later, I want to say in 83, came the infamous Filmation animated series that basically everybody memes and understands and knows and can watch either on YouTube. There is a channel that's owned that you can watch in all of its entirety. I believe even She-Ra, but He-Man I definitely know. He-Man and Masters of the Universe, you can watch all the episodes 100%. Or you can find them on DVD as well. You can find them if you look hard enough. You can find them on home video to watch. But that followed along a little bit of a timeline in itself, because a little bit after that, you had the rise, and then I think, what was it, 87? I think it was 1987 was where it had the film that sadly, at the time, it's considered garnered a cult following, respectfully. So before we have Masters of the Universe of this year, there was one that came out back in, I think, 1987.
I believe so.
And what was the name? He was actually an Easter egg in the movie.
Dolph Lundgren.
Yes, and in fact, I like that they kind of integrated it into the plot. I thought it was real cute.
One of the things he said when he was saying goodbye to Adam from the gym was, I forgot exactly what he said now, but apparently it is in the cartoon as a Eternian goodbye. Fun fact.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. And
something about the journey. I don't remember exactly what it was now.
But that is very, very true. And it's so interesting. Masters has such a big, rich, colorful history. I'm very infatuated with it. If it wasn't for this movie, I don't think she would have still been interested, respectfully. But I'm very glad that she's kind of open-minded with it now.
I'm gonna say it like this: thanks to TikToks,
And memes.
That's probably what did it. It's the edits. If anyone has been on that side of TikTok, the edits, the harness and the loincloth.
Yes.
The
moneymaker shot.
There was no pure thoughts when those two came out.
The film is as I mentioned before, a love letter of sorts. There are so many Easter eggs in that film by itself, and I love the. So again, it's for a certain audience of us Eternians, and it's again the film. That's the magic I always loved about the. What I love about now. A little background is I was born in the late 80s. I wasn't born. I always admit it. I missed the damn party, but it's never too late to be an 80s fan at any time. But I was blessed to know I was like, in technicality, if you want to be technical, the 80s pretty much died out in 95. Because in the early 90s, things...
We were still having the effects of it. The 90s kids were still having the effects of the 80s.
And I was one of the very lucky damn few. Like, I remember the good stuff. There was MTV's music videos with the, with like all the good music and stuff. And then of course you got your NESs, your Game Boys. I remember it all. Hell, I grew up with G.I. Joe figures and such that were actual like vintage toys. I sadly now how I got involved with Masters is by the aforementioned live action movie that came out, and I think that came out in '87, and the 2002 animated series that has, if I remember, it has Cam Clark as basically anyone that remembers Cam Clark as Liquid Snake from MGS1, and Leonardo and Rocksteady from and random voices in the 1987 TMNT or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And that's very ironic. I love that Masters, if it wasn't for Masters, a lot of 80s stuff wouldn't have really... a lot of toys from that era pretty much owe it to frickin' Masters, because these were the very early innovators, if not the earliest of innovators of that time. Masters was the hallmark that helped lead the way into commercialization of what toys are in entertainment, and how a lot of shows had to curtail the FCC to actually work around proverbially loosely selling toys to kids without actually selling them to the kids. They had to actually creatively interweave it into a plot and such in order to make it very marketable.
And honestly, comparing that to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I'm so far thinking that Masters of the Universe did it better.
I'm a Turtles fan by heart, and the irony too
there
is
so much product placement and toy opportunities in that show for me to enjoy it.
Here's the messed up thing that you just learned recently from one of the two creators. I might be wrong on the name. Mark Taylor is one of the two, who, God rest his soul, died as of this video about 5 years ago, 2021. So he basically was on board for a while until he ended up leaving Mattel. And the irony is he worked on a lot of late 80s stuff. One of those happens to be TMNT. That, if you look at the toys and the similarities, are almost the same, eerily enough. They, look at them. The toys all have 5 points of articulation of the head, the arms,
please put up the toy comparison right here. Thank you.
And the legs. No, I'm not gonna. This is actual history.
No, I'm giving myself notes for editing the video. Like right here, just put up the toy comparisons.
Yes.
If I can find them.
Yes. And it's so very true. Because this fellow, one of the two very big hearts that created Masters of the Universe, actually helped Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman get their creations off of the ground. It's ironic enough that in '84, TMNT would become a thing in the Mirage comics, and then of course they would become big in the '80s later on. So in '88, they had a toy line, and again, if you look at the toys, and let's not forget that just a little while ago, TMNT had a crossover, figures-wise, with Masters of the Universe. That I think it almost comes full circle for fans or those that are historian nuts of these entertainment toys, that it's kind of come full circle, ironically enough. It really, I always find it so fascinating. Like, Masters of the Universe has become my new go-to thing of understanding. Like, I'm very big into a lot of 1980 stuff, whether it's the movies, the cartoons, the video games, the fads, the music. It's my favorite personal playground. I was not alive I was birthed in the late 80s, but I was not alive during it. I have to stress. I was stressing that very much because I am an 80s person by heart. That's me. Like who doesn't know who Peter Weller is? That's fucking RoboCop. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator.
Focus back to Masters of the Universe, particularly the movie. What was your favorite part?
That is hard to say. I liked it all. I liked the fighting choreography in the film.
There was one part of that I didn't really care for, but later I feel like it was kind of intentional. The fight between Adam and Skeletor's minions when he was trying to rescue his father. That fight choreography felt staged. Like, I don't know if it was the angles or what, but it felt like the punches were being pulled. But later on in the movie, it does explain that Adam doesn't really know how to use the power and that he was just pulling his punches, basically. So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe that part was actually intentional. It was supposed to look like that.
I think so. In my opinion, I loved the entirety of the. I thought the fights were high adrenaline rush. They were well made for what the movie is supposed to be. Mind you, it's meant to be campy. It's meant to be a toys-focused universe type of setting. I mean, if you're not a fan of Masters of the Universe, and that's why it's got mixed reception, is because a lot of people just thought basically it was just not worth the watch. They thought it was a little too tacky. They thought it might be an over-exaggerated, but that's the point. You're missing the point. The point of this is that it's meant to be. It's really meant to be campy and over-exaggerated and stuff, because again, it's literally a kid's toy come alive on screen. The medium is supposed to be focused on intellectual property of a toy, so I think it does its self-justice to be over-exaggerated, to be as crazy as it can be, to be entertaining.
Honestly, yeah, thinking about these fight scenes also, there was a couple of them that really felt like it was action figures fighting.
Exactly!
I think it was the fight between He-Man and Skeletor that was I can just see a kid just swinging the toys around playing like that.
I love that. That was one of my all-time favorite fights I was waiting for. He-Man versus Skeletor, the fight of the century, right there. And, of course, Skeletor was Skeletor, and I just love that He-Man pretty much tried to play the bigger and the straight man. He said, hey, look, let's just talk this out. And he even gave his points that maybe he wasn't loved enough as a kid. Maybe, Skeletor had all these problems. And Skeletor's like, well, I am who I am. I'm a bad guy, and it feels so good to be bad. And tries to flex his proverbial evil muscles again, only to have him.
His jaw shattered.
I love that He-Man pretty much just put him in his place in the end. Skeletor tried to backtrack too. He still tried to act the fight, even though he was still outclassed. He went, "Is that all you got?" Only to have his eyes wide as saucers, and he knew it was coming. He was asking for it, and He-Man's like, "I've been holding back." One thing I recognize is I think this might have been an intentional thing too. So again, the film has so many delicious Easter eggs. If you recognize and know anything of the general Eternian history of Masters of the Universe, it goes
cartoons, but I'm pretty sure even comics and
yes,
the first movie.
It goes from the mini comics that came with the figures. It goes with the actual comics. It goes with the filmation, the old movie in '87. It goes all over the board. The toys themselves. So yeah, I noticed that when Adam, He-Man, uses his right fist, that is supposed to be an homage to, I can't remember if it's called a Power Punch, or it's one of my favorite deluxe figures of the lines that came out in 1985. Well, yeah. What the gimmick of that toy is that it He-Man has some very special armor, special shield, a special sword. Now, some, depending on who or where the versions you buy, not all of them, interestingly, I found out, are the same. That shouldn't be new, but still pretty eyebrow raising in its own way. Some blades and shields can be either gold plated, some can be the standard silver, but they're really the same toy in the end. He-Man has this special battle armor that's like a cross between like an H and an M or something, and the gimmick of it is the Power Punch gimmick, is where you put 6-cylinder little combustible pop capper that you use. Basically, I think you can still find those little combustible caps once in a while in some places.
Dollar General, Dollar Tree, I think they still have like the little pistols like that. They're
basically just, all they are is little gunpowder, just little light sulfur, little pop caps. That's all they are. And the gimmick was that.
Orange for me.
Yeah, well, the ones I've seen were red. I think they're still red.
Oh, I thought they were orange.
And they have little packets where wherever it is smacks it and it just pops and you smell a little sulfur in the air or gunpowder. That's all it is. It's all what the toys are. Just pull and it's a little pop cap, literally. But yeah, that was what He-Man's Power Punch armor thing was. I feel so bad and foolish not remembering the name in the moment.
I'll find it and edit it in right here.
But yeah, the gimmick was you load up the 6-cylinder caps into the backpack of He-Man. You have him hold back. He releases his right hand punch, and of course at the same time there's a loud pop in the air because of the caps. And that was the gimmick. When I saw that in the movie, it's like, oh, I know where that is. I know it because I've been doing so many hours of, I think it's called ram.org or ram.net. I recommend it, and I might be using it many of the times for these special talks on my channel. It's a good source of learning your history. If you're new to, like myself, a bit formally, if you're the new kid on the block, or you need to have a little refresher of Eternian knowledge, that is one of the few places to go. Let me check actually real quick on my phone.
How about this? The question on everyone's mind. How did you feel about Jared Leto?
I loved him as Skeletor. I thought he was great.
I will say, I've seen Morbius, I've seen Suicide Squad, you have seen neither. Therefore, you have not seen Jared Leto's bad parts. And I want to remind everyone, because I'm a 30 Seconds to Mars fan, I want to remind everyone that Jared Leto is not a bad actor, he's just had really shitty parts.
Exactly.
He was good, and I think the movie was called Switchblade. And then there was another one. Oh God, I can't remember the name of it. I'll figure it out. It'll be here.
So, for anyone that wants to know any knowledge, I recommend you go to battleramblog.com. That's very important if you want to know your your history on Masters of the Universe in general. It's a treasure trove of interviews, commercials. As long as I have noticed, sadly, some YouTube videos have kind of been blocked off on some parts, but not all of them, on certain topics on the pages. There's vintage package back packaging, complete figure packages to see and get an idea what the figures look like in the heydays, things like that. These it's a very very vital part of those that want to know more on Eternian history. In my opinion, I can't stress that enough, because if it wasn't for this site, I wouldn't even know what the hell I'm talking about. Battle Ram, a He-Man blog, is basically the closest to a biblical scripture I could ever perceive when it comes to anything Eternian based. I kid you not. It actually, and it's still constantly monitored, valued, and done and published by many faithful writers on that site. They're responsible for so much archival history when it comes to promotional art pieces, beautiful artworks, to the miniature comics, slightly, if not all in their whole. They do give sections on, for instance, characters, vehicles, books, you name it. They might have and have covered it. I really can't stress that site enough. So once more, battleramblog.com. Go and look forth and seek Eternian knowledge. But yeah, right then and there, the movie in itself, even that's been covered on the site too recently. The movie of Masters of the Universe, I think, is a step up from not that the original was completely bad, and it was very cool to have the original portrayer of the first He-Man before the new next comer. I loved it. Was a very subtle Easter egg, where it's like literally the passing of the proverbial power sword between actors.
Even the way that it was phrased, where I think the kid's name is Nicholas, where he says, "Any tips for a newcomer?"
Yeah, and I loved it. It was so cute.
It almost felt like he was asking any tips to be He-Man.
I think that was the whole the whole point of that scene. It was very endearing and very cute. I love that. So, plot-wise, it's a bit of it's all over the board when it comes to, how do I put it? A part of it is finding your identity, a coming-of-age story, and trying to find one's way back to their own journey and home. That's at least how I've viewed some portions of it, of this story and movie. Because Adam fought through tooth and nail. He gets, sadly, basically becomes a fish out of temporal water. He gets ousted of Eternia. He had to, because bad people were coming for him and his lineage and for the power sword. He had to go, and that broke Adam apart, because, well, he loves his homeland, and it pains him. You can see the pain of him wanting so badly to be back at home, and how he tries to adapt to regular outside human life is really, I kind of actually felt for him. Understanding as being an outsider of certain things.
He became a corporate jockey.
He had to. What was he supposed to do?
I know. No, but I am a corporate jockey.
But
You're feeling bad for him. What about feeling bad for me? I need a raise. Support our channel. Support our merchandise. There you go.
so
I don't have to be a corporate jockey anymore.
So, again, that story, I kind of feel that that's a little bit of a three-way thing. And maybe that could be another reason why it was a little rated too. Is it kind of, I wouldn't say it was going everywhere on the board, but I did get the message loud and clear. I was really into it, where it's self-discovery, trying to rekindle returning to home.
And breaking toxic masculinity.
Pretty much that too. I really didn't see too much of that. But like I said a while ago, as I mentioned in the video, I noticed three things. It's self-discovery, basically venturing for home and rekindling your family, and basically trying to be the very best that you can be. And really the biggest message is pretty much to be yourself. Because how Adam, it was revealed, the reason he was chosen as the latest line was that
he was different from the others.
He was different.
More brain than he was brawn. But
He
there
was-
was plenty of brawn too.
he was very humanic. The reason the sorceress picked him was because he had heart. It was more than just muscle, it was heart. And understanding. That's why he was picked as the latest champion in that part of the multiverse. So yeah, that's what I have to say is very cool. But other than that, though, I really can't understand. I can understand why people are hating on it, or basically just a little ruffled with the whole thing, why it's garnered mixed reception. But I have to say, though, in defense of it, I thought it did very good. I really thought it's really meant to be made for Eternian fans in the end of the day. Because again, it's really, the general rule of thumb is it's not meant to be taken seriously. It's, for God's sakes, it's literally based off of a toy intellectual property from Mattel. It's literally in the credits. Mattel has done all this. Heck, there's a lot of in one part of the movie when Adam was trying to reclaim his power sword, there's a lot of self-inserted history and self-inputting merchandising in it. What was it, Jim?
Big Jim.
Big Jim.
Big Jim was the original toy that He-Man was created off of. One of the creators of He-Man took a Big Jim toy, added more clay to it in order to bulk it out, and got He-Man.
And basically the very cool presentation was, all right, here's what we got. We have three special themed toys. One is Army Man, one Space, one is Barbarian. You pick. Mattel decided to go with Barbarian.
I wonder if they did that because of Conan the Barbarian. Like, was that a popular thing at that point in time?
So, very interesting history on that, the birth and mythos of Masters of the Universe. A lot of people believe that it was more based off of Conan, but in reality, it really wasn't. It wasn't actually Conan based at all. Now, there was word that it was supposed to be originally licensed as Conan, but because of some little right issues and such, that couldn't really be a thing. And so Mattel, as a last-ditch effort, decided to create their own original character. And at the time, they didn't really have any sword and sorcery toys at the time, as far as I can recollect. Masters of the Universe pretty much merged and married sword and sorcery with a little bit of future technology, and it became a staple to what, if you look at looking back in a lot of 1980s toys and stuff, it really shows that a lot of the future stuff and and that flavor that came in that 10-year period really does show very well. Masters, I think did a great, fantastical job though on that little input that paved the way in inspiring competitors and other things to try and make their own takes on success. Your minds may vary, but Masters did, I wouldn't say they started off strong, but as the time went on, they started to wane. Especially, they got attacked by the new kids of the block. That was from Hasbro. That was G.I. Joe and Transformers. Those were the titans that pretty much pushed Masters out into the corner. Then in the 1990s, they tried one more hurrah, and they just went out with a whimper for a little while before interest was refocused again throughout the 2000s and I think the 2010s. And then, of course, the resurgence of the 2020s, that's the video we are now. So Masters of the Universe just had if you want to be technical, has just gotten a resurgence about around 2019 to 2021 is when the remakes of all the toys that you can currently find in stores right now, it's usually around like $18 to $20 in that ratio. That's Mattel's work of saying, hey, we're back. That's basically them coming back with the intellectual property again. So it's no wonder that they've celebrated with 2026's Masters. And I think, in my opinion, in defense of it, I think they did wonderful. I thought everybody played a perfect role. I loved Jared Leto in it. Jared, I thought, was a great villain.
Could you tell it was Jared Leto?
It's so interesting. The voice, the
there
tone.
There was one part, some way he moved, something that he did. There was one singular part. I was like, oh, there he is. I see him.
What was it?
I don't remember the exact part, but there was a way he had moved, a way he had looked. I know the suit had to be motion capture.
It's very obvious.
Yes, because obviously Jared Leto doesn't have a skull for a head.
Exactly.
Anyway, there was a certain way that he had moved, and it's like, oh, I see him now. There he is. I don't remember if it was a face-off against Adam, or if Skeletor was just being his evil little self.
I have to say,
when we watch it a second time, I'll point it out to you. I'll be like, oh, there it is.
I have to say, though, that watching him, like, I could tell there's a part of me, even though he doesn't want to admit it, there's a part of me that feels like I think he enjoyed it. I think he enjoyed being a very bombastic villain. It's very explosive. He was over the top, hammy Shakespearean, and he added a little bit of mix of dark comedy, because that's basically what Skeletor is. Skeletor is meant to be the most vilest, over-the-top villain. He's not afraid of being bad. He has no shame in embracing being a villain. He kicks puppies down when they're down. He's that type of guy.
From what I've heard, and I don't know how true it is because I haven't found anything from Jared Leto himself, he really wanted to do this character. He really wanted to be Skeletor.
I'm glad.
As a fan.
That's good.
I haven't confirmed it. This is just internet rumors that I've heard.
If it is true, I give him thumbs up, because, in my opinion, I think he really did fantastic.
And what about the rest of the cast? Honestly, I think Idris Elba stole the entire show.
Same.
Like, I don't even care about anyone else.
I loved him.
Duncan was perfect.
I loved him. Man at Arms. He was great. He was a very powerful support character. I kind of felt for him where so the shakeup so much like He-Man or Prince Adam had Skeletor as his archenemy, his archenemy and personal demon that shook him to the core was Trapjaw. And I love Trapjaw in that movie. I thought Trapjaw... Yes. So usually Trapjaw is this gimmicky villain that basically was based off of a figure that, if you look at the Filmation, his gimmick is he'll take off a limb, he'll pick another thing up, he'll load it into himself. Here, he doesn't do that. He got an upgrade.
It just
He becomes
transforms.
a Swiss Army knife of death and destruction, and he had such a vile attitude I liked about him.
Oh, he was perfect, honestly.
He was like, when he was on screen, that made me excitable. Just, he was very like, when he was on screen, you know there was trouble. There was a lot of trouble with him. I kind of wish it was cute, but it felt like beginning and end. I kind of wish that they kind of introduced, I don't know, looking back, it was maybe semi-forced. It was Cringer. I wanted to see a little bit more Cringer. I mean, Cringer's supposed to be one of the very...
No, I think Cringer was good for what he had.
You think so?
I mean, yeah, you saw him with Adam when he was growing up, and then, of course, they've disconnected for 15 years while Adam was on Earth.
No.
And then they reconnected while everyone was in dungeon. So, yeah, that's pretty much a good timeline of events.
Looking back now, I think they, you know what? I think they actually did. Yeah. Apparently, I mean, he did finally technically get his moment to shine. I actually was amazed that he was fighting frickin' Beastman on a standstill. That was actually very cool. If you look at the Filmation Cringer, he wouldn't have done that, and, well...
Filmation Cringer was more of a Scooby-Doo.
Exactly.
Or Jabberjaw.
Mostly Scooby-ish. Jabberjaw was kind of an anthropomorphic curly.
Well, yes, but didn't he also have that kind of scared cat personality?
Kind of, yeah. That was a lot of characters like that in that time period with Hanna-Barbera. Just want to point that out. It was a gimmick of sorts.
I'm just over here like, what am I looking at through my back mirror or my back window?
But yeah, well, I'm trying to think of anything of touching upon the film.
Yes, is there anything we need to cover before we... Go see the movie while it's still in theaters.
I think we pretty much touched on as many bases on it.
Let's make a sequel. We need She-Ra now.
Yeah, I'm really hoping
or
that...
just a general sequel. I mean, I wouldn't mind Adam again.
I really don't want this film to just fizzle out. To me, there has to be... You can't... It's going to be like one of those other Hollywood movies where you tease basically plausible sequels or a plausible continuation and not do it. And that pisses me off. Usually things either get carried on about almost 10 years later or whenever they feel like it, or they have to soft reboot it or whatever otherwise. And I hate that. I hate when they do such shit like that.
I don't know. Sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes it actually ends up being better, a soft reboot. But only sometimes. This one, I think the way they did it, the actors who portrayed everyone, I think they were perfect the first time around, and they don't need to change a second time.
I'm really hoping, and if they decide to do, that would be a very interesting little thing, an experiment. There would be another He-Man movie, and if possible, I wouldn't mind seeing, there needs to be She-Ra too. You can't have one without the other. At least that's how I feel on intellectual properties. I mean, it's like Hercules, The Legendary Journey, and Xena, Warrior Princess. You gotta have the him and her right there. You gotta have those two leads doing their own things because they're so original. They're so awesome. In my opinion, they have a lot of stories to share. I think this is a new second coming of Eternia, in my opinion. I know it sounds a little too strong. Maybe it is. But I'm just saying with hopefulness that I think they got a good thing going. They shouldn't let it die, is what I'm saying. They can't just tease all this awesome stuff at the end of the movie and not answer the call. Hell, they even had Skeletor laughing and cackling in the end. That definitely hints that there's supposed to be more to the story.
Did I mention that Evelyn was actually perfect?
I loved her.
Just gotta say that. Evelyn was perfect.
I loved her very much. She was basically very on point of the character. What was the actress that portrayed her? I thought she did fantastic.
I don't think it's anyone I know. I'm gonna have to look it up.
It's either that or
I'm not gonna look it up right now.
credit the actress right here and now in this time frame. But I thought she did wonderful. A lot of actresses that have portrayed Evil Lynn throughout Masters of the Universe have done their fair part. They done her well. This one right here in live action, I thought was amazing. They basically caught the wittiness, the wickedness, and just being this vile, evil mistress of dark magic. And she was really on point. I really go see the movie while it's available, please. That's all I gotta say. Watch it for yourself.
Or rent it when it comes out. I guess that's okay.
But either way, if what you've told me is a bit true, the reason they're doing this.
This is a theory I have. Just simply a theory. Because it's well, did Amazon buy out MGM?
I think they did, or some sort of a merger.
That might be it. Because what it is because it's a Amazon product. I assumed that it was only in theaters for 2 weeks simply because they want to get it pushed back onto their streaming service. Again, this is just a theory. I have zero proof of this. It's not even a rumor. I made it myself.
It sounds almost legit. I mean, it does feel a little rushed right now in theaters. Most I've seen.
It might also be because it's underperforming.
That could also be another thing too, and
that's the problem. It shouldn't be underperforming. It's a good movie. Go see it.
If you're a fan of Eternian's history, do yourself a solid. Watch it. It's not. It's meant to be campy. Is the whole thing. You have to have that mindset.
It's meant not to be taken seriously.
Exactly. This is literally action figures for children and adults.
Maybe not adults, but definitely children.
Or at least those that are like myself. The older kid in you is what I'm saying.
The younger kid in you.
Or your inner child, or whatever you want to go with.
Inner child, that's better.
Basically, do yourself a solid and go watch it. Either watch it right now while it's in theaters, or wait for it to hit onto your home screens or DVD. Either way, I think it's a win, in my opinion. But if you want to see more content from us, I would to thank all of you for anyone that's decided to stomach through this video.
They're stomaching you.
Yes, unfortunately. But
anyway, it's time to wrap it up. Lovely people.
Thank you so very much, whoever you are, on hanging out with us on the proverbial sense, on this little recorded journey.
If you'd like to see more car reviews, leave a like, leave a comment. Tell us you like it. Because we will do what you say. Depending. Especially if it's for money.
Well, yes. And check out Nerd Archives. That's where we do our most of our stuff there. Subscribe if you are new and want to see more future projects, and of course any of the content that captures your fancy. I do a lot of Let's Playing, and there's also little reviews here and there of certain toy coverages. I will say, very soon, I'm trying to hopefully do it by stream, and if otherwise, I'll figure something out. But I have a special project that is connected with Masters of the Universe. It's sadly not technically the actual toys, but I think, in my opinion, it really deserves a good share. I've hoarded these little gems forever. It's time for me to let the cat out of the bag, or the battle cat out of the bag.
So, okay, see you later, folks. Bye!